Hi and welcome to a very special Coworking podcast about Mike's Coworking Special. And this month we're welcoming Jenny Schäpper-Uster, who's been in the coworking industry for years. She is now the owner of BüroLokal Wil for 12 years and the co-founder of Flesk for 4 years. We're going to talk about that, about many other things later. First of all, Jenny, thank you so much for being here with us today.
And thank you for your interest. It's always nice to have a chance to talk about my passion and share it with people who also have the same passion.
Same here. Funny story. I have to talk about it because it's just, I don't know how many times we're trying to get this interview done because, yeah, it keeps on failing. And just right now, we were starting the interview and then we disappear on each other's screen, but we could still communicate through the chat. It's like a spiritual session. The person is there, but not really. Yeah, we're being really resilient right now. So it's good for our skills, our skill set. Yeah. Jenny, let's dive into it if we can test. How did it start? How did you start working? And yeah.
It started back in 2012, a year before I actually opened my space for work-life reasons. I was working from home. My kids were very small, 3 and 5, and I was not getting the focus that I wanted. And my husband had too much room in his office and wanted to sublet. And he discovered co-working, and I heard the concept, read about it, Googled it, and I was just taken aback. And I was like, that's what I need to do. And that's what kickstarted my passionate journey in co-working. In between, now my kids are apprentices and just finishing school, and it's been a constant in their life as well.
Yeah. So you didn't know about co-working before. You wanted to work from home or differently, and you did your own research and found about this amazing concept. And then you thought, oh, I'm going to open my own space.
Exactly. And co-working at the time was just for startups, creatives, the classic co-working, programmers working out of, or an alternative to Starbucks shops. And I was still living in a small city in the eastern part of Switzerland where nobody had heard about it. And people were like, it's not going to fly. And I figured,
Yeah.
if I need it, there's going to be other people who want it as well.
So you go from needing a co-working to not only attend one, but build your own one. And so you chose to stay nearby home because that was the goal, right? It was to be by your family and to not have huge commute and to stay in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. I wanted to work locally, but not from home. And get out. I'm a very social person, extroverted. I need people to share their energy with me and vice versa. And loved working from the office, but it just didn't make sense to commute for a half hour to work part-time. And so I started it. I actually would have loved to open with a daycare. Didn't find the ideal location, and over the years have followed and tried to support every initiative that had daycare and co-working. Now less so because it's just no longer in my need, but it's still something that I think would be a great combination, or is a great combination when it works. I think the cities or municipalities would need to jump in there to help support those initiatives to get them going, because they're rarely financially viable. It needs some kind of public support.
Yeah, and daycare is a world business in itself, so it's very difficult. Already, a co-working space is difficult, so if you add to it a daycare, it's the budget charge, maybe.
Oh, yeah. And the regulations that you need and a whole daycare. Unfortunately, a space just closed in Zurich 6 months ago, and there was just too much overhead. You need too much personnel, too much room, and it fluctuates because every couple of years the kids move out and the needs of the parents change as well.
Yeah. So in your case, you wanted to apply but couldn't really. How did it go? You were saying that people were saying that it wouldn't take in your small town, but you opened a space anyway. How big was it? Did you get a lot of members right away, or was it a slow start? How did it go?
Yeah, it was a slow start. I started in 2013, and I was 6 months to get it rolling. I had the city's
Mhm.
mayor who joined the opening of my space. I had a lot of support, a lot of moral support, and everybody wished me a lot of luck and a lot of endurance. And I was like, why endurance? I'm sure
Yes.
it will take. And realizing that every company needs about 2 to 3 years to really get going. And
Mm.
at first, I was by myself, and I would greet Jenny and Jennifer and Miss Uster and Miss Schäpper when I walked into the space, and it would echo, and nobody would say hello back because I was the only person there. And soon I got 1 or 2 coworkers, and we were alone for a couple of years. So there's 3 or 4 of us in the space. I started doing events just so that people would get to know the concept. And so soon we had a community of event guests. They always
Yes.
came to the events. Maybe it was because of the free food, which is okay too, but they never came to work. And one thought was that our location is too close to where everybody lives, that people know each other too well, that there's a lot of clubs and initiatives where people have known each other in our town for all their lives. And I thought that maybe and it still could be that work or the office was the last bastion of that it was maybe too transparent on how people worked because nobody ever brought their friends. People meet at BüroLokal and have never known, they don't know each other before. And we have this great community from people who do a small commute. Some come with their bikes, but they live in villages close by, and have hit a chord. There's definitely a need. Some of my coworkers, one coworker's been with me for 12 years. Bruno, this is for you. And others have been for 8 or 6 years. And when I see the urban spaces there, I think the turnover is around 6 months to a year. So it takes longer to get coworkers, but once you get them there, they don't have that many options. But I think
They're
comes because they do
staying.
like the atmosphere.
So did you were saying that where you were was maybe too close to the home? So did you change the location, or was it just a question of time and getting known by the people?
I didn't change locations because I love my location. It's an
Okay.
old textile
Oh,
factory or a
yes.
workshop, maybe sweatshop. I don't really know, but it's 250 square meters of an open space in this 100-year-old building. And it's really close, 3 minutes from the train station. So it
Mhm.
has good location, not anywhere near a pedestrian zone. People don't just walk by. We are in a neighborhood, but some people are like, oh, I've driven by here for 5 years and now I decided to come in. I think it's just it's the lack of a Swiss spontaneity. We're not that spontaneous. But again, word of mouth and events. And now, after all this time, the 12 years, and the pandemic and the way people have changed or work more flexibly, now
Yeah.
I'm at a good spot and have a really nice mix of people.
Yeah. So as you were saying, it takes endurance and resilience and being there again and again for years. And then you have those people who's been with you for years and people who have been wondering for years, this thing there, maybe I should try it out someday. And 5 years later, finally they do it. So it's a mix of all that, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And I always compare it to the Swiss. They don't try things that right away. So they're not the first movers, at least not in the country and in the countryside. And I compare it to sushi. You have to try it. At first you hear about it, you think, oh, that doesn't involve me because I don't want raw fish. And then you compare it to other ways of working, just like other ways of eating. And then you hear about it, you taste it, you go, no, this is not bad. And so I try to get people to just come in and say, hey, give it a try. If you don't like your home office,
Mm.
I don't like home office either. That's why I went into co-working because I don't like working alone. And people still talk about black and white, home office or at the office. And co-working is that third space, that safe space,
Mm-hmm.
that neutral space where you meet people. They don't need you to like them. Their feedback is super neutral. I think it's the best way to get feedback for any kind of idea because people are going like, that's weird or that's a fantastic idea. And they're not related, they're not friends, and they're not your bosses. So I think that's where that special sauce in co-working.
Yeah, and you've mentioned events several times. Do you feel event is really a big part of a co-working space?
I always thought so. And so I always created a lot of
Okay.
events, but over the years, I never gained one coworker through an event. That was it.
Wow.
I've
Okay.
stopped now that now I'm at capacity with my coworkers that
Yes.
come daily or once a week or just regularly. So I don't need those events, and we have more get-togethers within our close community. So we'll eat lunch every day. We'll cook lunch. We'll fire up the grill and eat outside. So it's more of the coworkers. I curate the coworkers that are around instead of trying to attract new people. But within a new location, I think that's still a super important method of getting people in the door to look at what the options of co-working are, as opposed to just hearing or reading about it and deciding, oh, I'm not a startup
Mm.
or that's not something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking maybe people coming to the event aren't coming to the space, but they talk about it around them, and it adds a song to your house of visibility.
It definitely does. Well, now that I've stopped doing my
Mm.
regular events, I used to have one format. So it's a play on words of the morning coffee with a croissant that we have in Switzerland. And I always use that format of allowing startups or young companies to present an idea or try to network. And now that I don't do it anymore, people are still talking about, hey, when's the next SUNY Gipfeltreff? I'd love to come. And it shows that it did have an impact.
Mhm.
And I'll start again. But right now I don't have the time capacity to do that.
Yeah, as you were saying, with all those years of building the business consistently and getting more and more customers, now you're at full capacity, right?
Now, yeah, it's definitely not a cash cow and it's not a no unicorn that just took off. It's my lab, is my home, and where it's the base I
Mm.
always come back to. It's definitely too small for me to live off of the income. But it's opened up a great all the opportunities and all the projects that I've done since then. So in
Yeah.
2015, I co-founded Coworking Switzerland,
Yes.
the National Association, again, also to find out who else is in this boat with me, and so that we have
Mm-hmm.
exchange of best practices. And there we have some great initiatives. There was one at Effinger in Bern that was started as an association, self-organized, and this whole crew that did the crowdfunding and everything. And seeing what they
Yes.
did, I felt like I should have done that because I found it by myself because of a personal need. And I was like, oh, I'll create an association around BüroLokal, and then I'll have more people who carry out that vision. But instead, I had this association that all of a sudden I had to go through when I wanted to buy new furniture. It was still my
Yes.
money, but I had to go through the association to get the okay. And then they told me, oh, you be president. I'm like, that's not the point. So after around a year and a half, I was like, okay, guys, we're going to liquidate this association. And I had to just admit that it was a part of BüroLokal's DNA that I did
Yes.
it. It was my idea. And even if I wanted to share
Mm-hmm.
it, people were fine with Jenny will do it. And I had to make sure that it's not always me doing the dishes either, but it's a part of the vibe. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
larger spaces, they need more people. But like Melanie Bournier, who also was in one of your podcasts from the Work Hub, is in a similar situation. It's also with her fire that
Mm-hmm.
gets that going. And I think it's just different locations have a different DNA. And mine is without a whole crew.
Yeah, and I love the diversity of having smaller space, bigger space. Some are around a really strong concept. Some are around a really strong personality. As you said, it's around 1%. That person has funded everything, and they bring the vibe. They bring the color of the co-working. And sometimes it's different. It's a team. It's more professional. It's great to have that diversity. Not everybody needs to be a nonprofit. Not everybody needs to have a big team. So it's great to have those different vibes.
Yeah. But a couple of times I figured, I'm like, did I miss some kind of memo? Am I doing this wrong? Should I stop? It's not taking off as the others are taking off. And it was like a pit bull in that sense that I got my teeth in this co-working concept and I can't let it go. And I'm just going to stay at it until it works. And so it seems like it's working. and it has to work for me. And again, get to meet all sorts of great people from around the
Mm-hmm.
country, around the world, around Europe, and
Yes.
that makes it worth it.
Yeah. You were saying that you're doing other things beside it. You talk about Coworking Switzerland, and during the introduction, I said you are also part of Flex.
Flesk, yes, it's
Flex.
flexible desk. So Flesk, that came out of a previous company, a
Mm-hmm.
cooperative that I co-founded in 2016 that was called Village Office. And there we had two products. We had one, a membership to all the spaces in the country, and we helped develop co-working in regional areas with municipalities. We got a lot of great funding. We had a great team that we built up over 6 years and a lot of momentum, a lot of potential that we in the end couldn't make it happen because of one, the pandemic. We couldn't get the projects going because they were very
Mm-hmm.
participative. And the membership or the network of spaces that we had, there was no demand because companies weren't working flexibly before the pandemic. So they still believed in people working local at the offices and felt that it was a freelance issue, co-working. So they're like, yeah, great, but our people have to come to the office. So after the pandemic, the world was more flexible, but we didn't have the drive anymore. And we proactively dissolved the cooperative. But the core business idea was what became Flesk. We now have to help access the co-working spaces that there are. BüroLokal, the Work Hub, West Hive in Zurich, Office Labs, Creative Space, giving them people access to the nomadic access to these different communities.
Yeah.
Also as an answer to the big competitors that when all is said and done, I want to help increase the demand in everybody's spaces. But each individual space alone can't do that if they're only located in Wil or only in Zurich, and the companies have employees throughout the country. And I found new partners from tech who develop the greatest apps in Switzerland. They asked me if I would be interested in working with them, and I got goosebumps. I was like, I've been waiting for your call. And 10 more minutes, sorry, waiting for their call, and got together, created a project, decided this is going to work, and then founded Flesk in 2022, sorry. Flashback 20 years.
I'm like, oh,
2022. And again, we're also growing very organically. We don't have external investors. They develop the app. I develop the network and do the key accounts, get the key accounts going. And again, we're not the unicorn that has already 50 employees after a year, although I don't know how many unicorns really do that. We have there is a demand. The Swiss market is getting used to having that offer. People are finding us. We're improving our app that was originally B2B, and now we're adding a B2C element. And by the spring, we're going to have a UX in the app that it's going to be plug and play, that you want to have access. You can just buy credits and book through Flesk.
Okay, wow. And that's great that you were saying at some point that the place you're managing, it might be too small to be living off of it, but it leaves you the time and the energy and maybe have the network to support you to do other adventure on the side. That's also a good balance to have. The co-working space, yes, but also other things inside the co-working industry.
And with this time, it's also allowed, my kids have gotten older, and it's allowed me to really understand what the Swiss markets, so it's given me credibility. And I could have gone and went for my PhD. I would have had to work and not earn money there. Here, I was investing in my own company. I don't play the stock market. I play my own ideas. And I think I have a PhD in co-working. Giving myself that. And it hasn't lost any of its appeal to me. Staying
Wow,
at
yeah.
it.
And that's huge because sometimes I've heard things like, I was tired of having a call at 2 a.m. on a Saturday because someone is stuck in the elevator. So you might have a live, and you might not be open on the weekend, but there's always something happening and you have to manage it. And it's really practical, hands-on thing with your own two hands to unlock the toilet or something like that because things
Yeah.
are happening.
It's those,
Mhm.
yes. I get that it's a Saturday morning calls that the door doesn't work because I have a group that comes in and it's an association. There are always different people using the space and nobody communicates within that group that there's a different code. And I always get the call, can you open up? Can you, whether I've gone out on a Friday night or not, I'm like, I need to have my phone next to me just to make sure I can open up. It's what I do.
Yeah, that's part of co-working. And that's what it look like now. What about next? You were saying you're in space under construction right now, so maybe you're planning to open something new soon.
Yes, and again, I can't juggle balls, but I can do co-working ideas. Um, in my city, there's this really old middle-aged building that used to be a brewery, but it used to also be a bishop's residence. It's the largest building in our old town, and it's being renovated. And the foundation that owns it and the city decided that there would be a co-working floor. And part of the initiative was placed by a coworker of mine 12 years ago who planted that idea with
Yeah,
the
that
city
little
and a lot of patience. And that project, I've been allowed to join that project. I did make myself be noticed so that they wouldn't come up with the idea to bring up anybody else. But no, I have the honor to and now be a part of the team to activate and run the co-working space in Hof zu Wil. And it's the ecosystem, it's a new ecosystem, and it's that I've always been dreaming of. We have the city's library is in the building. There's a restaurant. There's going to be an inn with 6 rooms. There's a museum. There's a
Okay.
beer garden. There's a chapel. And then there's the co-working floor. And just being able to now show people the rooms that are being restored. They're 700-year-old rooms where you can work in them with a modern touch. Of course, we have Wi-Fi and all of the regular amenities, but to make that new business meeting point for the region and to reactivate it it was based in historically in that sense, and now be able to bring that in the modern usage of these rooms. It's a great honor, and we open up in January. So there's a lot of painting being done. There's still
Yeah.
drilling. There's heating elements being entered, but the furniture is going to be delivered in 2 weeks, and we start cleaning
Okay.
and then move in. So there'll be lots of reasons. So anybody coming to visit Wil, it's cheaper than Zurich, only a half hour from Germany, and there will be rooms that we can set our co-working nomads up.
Yeah. Super interesting. One more thing you're going to manage. How do you do it? You must be a professional at managing time right now.
Because not all the projects work at the same dynamic at the same time. When one's a little less active than the next projects, I can give more energy to that. All right, we're in the next room. You can see part of the historic elements that are coming out.
No, that's great. Actually, I think one of the first interview I did, a co-working manager was taking computer and moved rooms like 4 times to show a bit around and all that. You do whatever you want. As I said before every interview, I said everybody's welcome, spouses, kids, pets, coworkers, just nobody naked. They were welcome on the interview as well.
We were lucky. It's a cold day in Switzerland.
That's why. That must be why. So we were talking about managing different projects at the same time and different rooms. Because I understand your co-working space is somewhere and the new co-working space is somewhere. You have to move in between those, and you have Flesk, and you have your family, and you have all those things to manage at the same time. But you were saying that not everything is taking the same energy or amount of effort.
Exactly. So right now my BüroLokal is stable. I have an ambassador who helps me run the space. So he tidies up after meetings. He looks at makes sure that the coffee is in the coffee machine and daily business there. So I pop in every day, but it doesn't need me. My coworkers don't, they can work without
Ooh.
me. And once a week I go to Zurich for Flesk. So that's my Flesk day. And in between I have a couple hours a day where I dedicate to that. And then now, shortly before the opening here at Hof zu Wil, needs more of my attention, and it's a 15-minute walk from my other space. Juggle
Okay.
that, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming, and then I go home and meditate or cook dinner and try to breathe. And my teenage boys, I do a good job of demanding my focus when they're at home. I'm able to shut off the work
Yeah.
once I get at home. I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, so disconnecting is very important to just put it on the side and say, okay, no, I don't have the hot co-working manager, wherever I have the hot mom or the hot me, and just do what I need to do to recharge.
Yeah. And I definitely am part of that flexibility, or a large part of it is because these are my projects and it's on my own budget. So I don't have an external investor who demands a certain ROI at a
Mm-hmm.
certain time frame. Because otherwise I would have had to close BüroLokal a long time ago if I had to meet certain parameters, certain financial markers. So I do have the luxury of changing the pace at the different projects as I see fit, and not have to run according to what others find necessary. But Hove is a little bit different. There's a lot of people involved here, but again, it's until it gets going.
Yeah, it's a different project. And you said you had the luxury to not have anybody breathing down your neck for some ROI or KPIs. But I believe it's all the work you've been putting in. You've been putting it by yourself. It was a choice. And now you can harvest the fruit as well. It's all thanks to past you.
Yeah, it feels like it. And I'm
It does.
enjoying that it's no longer a question of if it's going to fly. It's more of a when the new space. And it's speaking with people from the local economy here, someone from the bank, a local bank, who came to see our rooms. And a couple of years ago, the banks would be like, no way are we going to work out of that. We have to work from our bank.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just looking around going, I can't wait to come for an event. And I don't have phones with calls with my clients every day. I have some strategic work I could do out of this space, and it's getting people to think differently. And we're 12 years down the line.
Yeah.
We're there where my friend told me, yeah, we need patience, and in 10 years it needs about another 10 years till others are ready. And I think that's where we are now.
Yeah, slowly but surely we're coming towards the end. But before that, I wanted to ask you if there was anything else you wanted to talk about.
I think we've covered all the bases for anybody who's thinking of joining or getting into co-working. It's not a quick win. It's not a cash cow, but it's the opportunity where hospitality meets the office. And it's a chance to meet great people and to get new things started. And you have to have a passion for it, but if there's a spark, go for it.
I love how you put it, where hospitality meets office. That's a great quote.
Thank you.
If people want to know more about you, your journey, or the different project you've been juggling with, and know about the spaces you're managing, where can they contact you?
The easiest address to remember is Jenny, Jenny, like Lopez, but not the dancer, at Flesk,
Almost.
FLESK.ch. So that doesn't have any Swiss accents or anything. Jenny at Flesk.ch. We almost made it to the end. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, wait more, like we're surviving everything.
Yeah.
No rain inside, but it snowed here, but outside, not inside, so it's fine. Anyway,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, and I'll add in the show notes your email address. If they want to check out the space, where can they do it? On social media, on your website?
The space, it's Hof zu Wil. .ch. That website will be up by the time this podcast airs. Hof zu Wil.
Fantastic. And Hofswil, I added in the channel as well. What about local bureau?
Well,
Local.
there's all sorts
Okay.
of pictures and information there as well. I'll give you for the show notes.
Yeah, okay. So I add the space to website and your email address so that people can reach out easily. And that's it. We made it. I don't know how many tries we've had,
High five.
but it worked. Fantastic.
Good
That's
job.
resilience for you. Yes, yes. And it was a pleasure
going.
to
It's
hear
that-
about
Pitbull.
like this. Eh? I will remember that. I will remember that. And it was great to hear about another way of doing co-working, which is not just about having big spaces, multiple spaces, but about doing things yourself as you want sometimes. That's really good too.
It works for me. I still don't know what the square meter ROI is, and I never will. It doesn't interest me.
That's not your KPIs, to each their own. Thank you so much for the discussion today, and we catch up again on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Fanny. It was great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.